I'm not gonna lie. I think something wrong with my eyes.
You said what?
Something wrong with my eyes. You see something? I can't take them off.
The white Chevrolet Camaro sits in the driveway, engine still running. Inside, 28-year-old Coutura Denise Fiesel slumps forward against the steering wheel, blood spreading across her designer blouse. Her sisters scream in horror beside her, their cries piercing the suburban Las Vegas evening air. Just moments earlier, they had been preparing to leave after what should have been a simple errand. The garage door that had begun to close suddenly reopens. A man emerges, his face contorted with rage, a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson gripped tightly in his hand. Without hesitation, he raises the weapon and fires directly at the vehicle. The bullet shatters the driver's side window before striking Coutura in the chest. This wasn't a random act of violence or a robbery gone wrong. This was Marvin Simmons, Coutura's boyfriend of 8 months, executing the woman who had come to his home simply to deliver a gift. What drives someone to murder a person they claim to love? How does affection transform into such deadly rage that a man would shoot an unarmed woman as she sits in her car, attempting to leave? The line between love and possession is often dangerously thin, especially in relationships where jealousy festers beneath the surface. In the case of Coutura Fiesel, her only crime was showing up at the wrong moment, when another woman was present. Her death raises disturbing questions about the nature of toxic relationships and the warning signs we all too often ignore until it's too late. Could this tragedy have been prevented? On March 7, 2022, Las Vegas lost a rising star in its fashion community. Coutura Denise Fiesel, model, entrepreneur, and boutique owner, was gunned down by her boyfriend in a shocking act of domestic violence that stunned the city. The 28-year-old had just returned from a weekend trip to Miami with Marvin Simmons, the very man who would take her life. What makes this case particularly haunting is its mundane beginning. Coutura had simply come to drop off shoes she had purchased for Simmons, a thoughtful gesture that would cost her everything. Unknown to her, Simmons' other girlfriend, the mother of his children, was inside the house, triggering a deadly confrontation. With her sisters as witnesses, the shooting unfolded in mere seconds, transforming an ordinary evening into a nightmare. The brutal efficiency of the crime left no chance for intervention, no opportunity for de-escalation, and no hope for Coutura's survival. If this story already has your heart racing, I need you to stay with me until the very end. The details of Coutura's murder contain crucial lessons that could save your life or the life of someone you love. Throughout this video, I'll break down the warning signs that preceded this tragedy and provide specific strategies for protecting yourself from similar situations. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because the information in this video is too important to miss. If you know someone in a potentially dangerous relationship, sharing this video could be the wake-up call they desperately need. Your engagement helps spread awareness that might prevent another senseless tragedy. Born in 1993, Coutura Denise Fiesel grew up under the neon glow of Las Vegas, a city known for both opportunity and excess. From an early age, friends and family noted her natural charisma and determination. Unlike many who succumbed to the distractions of Sin City, Coutura maintained a laser-like focus on building something meaningful with her life. As a young black woman in Las Vegas, Coutura navigated the challenges of her environment with remarkable resilience. Those who knew her during these formative years often spoke of her distinctive style and eye for fashion that set her apart from her peers. Even as a teenager, she was already sketching designs and studying fashion magazines, dreaming of the day she would make her mark on the industry. By her early 20s, Coutura had developed a confidence and vision that would later define her professional identity, laying the groundwork for her future success in the competitive world of fashion. Coutura's entry into the fashion world wasn't handed to her. She carved it out through persistence and raw talent. Beginning as a local model for small boutiques around Las Vegas, she quickly recognized that her ambitions extended beyond the runway. By her mid-20s, she had begun saving every dollar toward opening her own boutique, working multiple jobs while building her portfolio and industry connections. In 2019, her dream materialized when she opened the doors to her own high-end clothing store. The boutique quickly became known for its curated selection of bold, trend-setting pieces that reflected Coutura's distinctive aesthetic. She had this incredible eye for what would be popular 6 months before everyone else caught on, recalled one fashion photographer who worked with her regularly. What distinguished Coutura's business approach was her understanding of both the creative and commercial aspects of fashion. She mastered social media marketing, creating a strong online presence that attracted customers from beyond Las Vegas. Her Instagram showcased not just clothing but a lifestyle, confident, ambitious, and unapologetically glamorous. Despite operating in a notoriously difficult industry, Coutura's boutique thrived, expanding its inventory and customer base each quarter. By early 2022, she was scouting locations for a second store, poised for expansion before tragedy struck. Coutura's influence extended far beyond her business success. She became a cornerstone of the Las Vegas fashion community, creating opportunities for other aspiring models and designers. Her boutique regularly hosted events showcasing local talent, particularly highlighting other young Black entrepreneurs trying to break into the industry. She never forgot what it was like to start from nothing, explained one designer whose first collection was featured in Coutura's store. When she believed in your work, she put her full weight behind promoting you. This generosity of spirit earned her deep loyalty among peers and protégés alike. Coutura also organized fashion workshops for teenage girls, teaching them about both style and business acumen. She emphasized financial literacy alongside creative expression, understanding that true independence required both. Many of these young women viewed her as a role model, proof that with talent and determination, they too could transform their passion into a thriving career despite obstacles or humble beginnings. At the center of Coutura's personal life was her unshakable bond with her sisters. They were her confidants, her support system, and often her most honest critics. Those close to the family described their relationship as extraordinarily tight-knit, with the sisters speaking daily and gathering weekly despite their busy schedules. They protected each other fiercely. One friend noted, Coutura might have been building this fashion empire, but her sisters always kept her grounded. This sisterhood provided emotional stability amid the chaos of entrepreneurship and dating life. Tragically, it was this same closeness that placed her sisters in the car on that fateful March evening, witnessing the horrific moment their beloved Coutura was taken from them. Coutura met Marvin Simmons in July of 2021 at a networking event for local entrepreneurs. At 31, Marvin presented himself as a successful businessman with multiple ventures across Las Vegas. Friends recalled how he pursued Coutura with an intensity that seemed romantic at first, lavish gifts, constant attention, and public displays of affection that made their relationship appear picture-perfect on social media. He came on strong, but Coutura was initially charmed by his confidence, explained one close friend. He talked about building an empire together, how they could elevate each other's brands. For someone as ambitious as Coutura, this vision of a power couple dynamic was appealing. Within weeks, they were officially dating, and Marvin quickly integrated himself into every aspect of her life. What Coutura didn't realize was that beneath Marvin's charismatic exterior lay a complex web of deception and volatile emotions that would ultimately prove deadly. The warning signs in Coutura and Marvin's relationship emerged subtly at first. Friends noticed how Marvin would call repeatedly when Coutura was out without him, often demanding to know exactly who she was with. What initially seemed like attentiveness gradually revealed itself as surveillance. He would show up unexpectedly at girls' nights, claiming he was just in the area. One friend recalled, her smile would tighten whenever he appeared. By month 3, Marvin began criticizing Coutura's clothing choices, particularly outfits he deemed too revealing for business events. He started managing her social media accounts, deleting comments from male followers and insisting on approving her posts. When she questioned these behaviors, he would flip between angry accusations and tearful apologies, creating a confusing cycle that left her constantly walking on eggshells. Perhaps most concerning was Coutura's gradual withdrawal from close friendships. She stopped attending our weekly brunches, said a longtime friend. When she did come, she was constantly checking her phone, anxious about Marvin's reactions. Text messages recovered after her death revealed Marvin's manipulative tactics, alternating between loving messages and threatening ones, keeping her emotionally off balance. Despite these concerning patterns, Coutura maintained a relationship, possibly hoping his behavior would improve or believing she could manage the situation without sacrificing what appeared from the outside to be a prestigious partnership. What Coutura didn't fully comprehend was that Marvin was living a double life. Throughout their 8-month relationship, he maintained an ongoing connection with the mother of his 2 children. This wasn't merely co-parenting. It was a full romantic relationship that he kept carefully compartmentalized from his life with Coutura. He had separate phones, separate social media accounts, explained an investigator familiar with the case. He was essentially running parallel relationships. When confronted with scheduling conflicts, Marvin would tell Coutura he had business meetings or was spending time with his children, never revealing the complete truth about his other household. The mother of his children reportedly knew about Coutura, but believed Marvin's claims that she was just a business associate who occasionally accompanied him to networking events. This precarious balancing act required constant deception and manipulation, creating a pressure cooker situation that Marvin struggled to maintain. As investigators would later discover, his fear of these worlds colliding ultimately triggered the fatal confrontation. Just days before the shooting, Coutura and Marvin traveled to Miami for what appeared to be a romantic weekend getaway. Social media posts showed them enjoying beachfront dinners and exclusive club access, projecting the image of a perfect couple. According to Coutura's text messages to her sisters, she believed the relationship was finally stabilizing after months of turbulence. She thought the trip meant he was fully committing to her. One sister later told investigators she had no idea he was texting his children's mother throughout the entire weekend. Hotel staff reported overhearing an intense argument in their room on the final night, though the couple presented a united front publicly the next morning. The Miami trip created a dangerous illusion for Coutura, a false sense that the relationship was evolving into something more secure. This misconception likely influenced her decision to visit Marvin's home that fateful Monday, bearing gifts and goodwill, completely unaware that his other girlfriend was present or that their worlds were about to catastrophically collide. Have you ever noticed subtle red flags in a relationship that later became obvious dangers? Those small moments of control or jealousy that seemed insignificant at the time. Drop a comment below, sharing your experience. Your story might help someone recognize these warning signs before it's too late. This knowledge saves lives. Monday, March 7th, 2022 began as an ordinary day in Las Vegas. The temperature hovered around 70 degrees under clear blue skies, a perfect early spring day that gave no indication of the horror that would unfold by evening. Coutura woke early, as was her habit, to prepare for a busy day at her boutique. Security footage from her store shows her arriving just after 9 in the morning, dressed impeccably in a cream blazer and dark jeans. Throughout the day, Coutura served customers, updated inventory, and finalized plans for an upcoming fashion showcase. Store cameras captured her smiling, energetic, completely unaware that she had less than 12 hours to live. Around 4:30 in the afternoon, she called her sisters, suggesting they meet for an early dinner before making a quick stop to drop something off at Marvin's house. She was in such a good mood, her younger sister later told detectives. She kept talking about how the Miami trip had changed things, how she and Marvin were finally on the same page. Text messages recovered from Coutura's phone show she messaged Marvin at 5:12 p.m. "Heading your way with a surprise. Can't wait to see you." His response was casual, giving no indication of the volatile situation awaiting her. By 6 p.m., Coutura and her 2 sisters were driving toward Marvin's suburban home in Centennial Hills. Completely unaware, they were heading toward a deadly confrontation. The surprise Coutura mentioned in her text was a pair of limited edition designer shoes she had purchased for Marvin during their Miami trip. She hadn't given them to him during the weekend, preferring to have them properly wrapped first. The shoebox, later recovered from her car, was meticulously packaged with custom tissue paper and a handwritten note expressing her feelings about their relationship moving forward. "She spent almost 40 minutes wrapping that gift," her sister recalled. She wanted everything to be perfect. This level of thoughtfulness characterized Coutura's approach to relationships. She invested time, emotion, and consideration into gestures that demonstrated her affection. The shoes, valued at over $800, represented more than just a material gift. For Coutura, they symbolized her commitment to building something lasting with Marvin. The cruel irony of this gesture would only become apparent later. Her attempt to strengthen their bond would instead trigger the sequence of events leading to her death. At 6:23 p.m., as Coutura's white Camaro pulled into Marvin's driveway, her phone chimed with an incoming message. According to her sisters, Coutura's expression immediately changed as she read it. The text from Marvin was blunt. "You need to leave right now. She's here with the kids." This cryptic message confused Coutura momentarily before the devastating realization hit. Marvin's children's mother was inside the house. Despite being just feet from his front door, Coutura was being ordered away like an unwelcome stranger. She just sat there for a minute, staring at her phone. Her older sister later testified. Then she said, "I'm already here. I'll just drop these off quickly and go." This decision, to proceed despite the warning, stemmed not from defiance, but from Coutura's belief that a brief, cordial exchange would be harmless. She texted back, "Already in your driveway. Just taking 2 seconds to drop something off." Then she grabbed the gift box and stepped out of the car. What happened next was captured partially by Marvin's home security camera and witnessed fully by Coutura's sisters. Marvin emerged from the garage door, his body language immediately hostile. He approached Coutura with his hands raised, gesturing emphatically for her to leave. According to witnesses, his voice was loud enough to be heard from the street. "What are you doing here? I told you not to come." Coutura, still holding the gift box, attempted to explain her presence calmly. "I just wanted to give you these," she said, extending the package toward him. Marvin knocked the box from her hands, sending the carefully wrapped shoes tumbling across the driveway. The security footage shows Coutura stepping back, visibly shocked by this reaction. The argument escalated rapidly. Marvin moved closer, pointing repeatedly toward her car, while Coutura tried to retrieve the scattered gift. "You're disrespecting me coming here," he shouted. When Coutura bent to pick up the shoes, Marvin shoved her shoulder, causing her to stumble backward. "That's when I got out of the car," her older sister told police. "I yelled at him to stop touching her." The presence of Coutura's sisters seemed to further enrage Marvin, who began glancing nervously toward the house windows. The garage door started to close automatically, and Marvin stepped back inside, momentarily disappearing from view. Coutura, recognizing the volatility of the situation, abandoned the gift and walked quickly back to her car. "Let's just go," she told her sisters as she slid into the driver's seat. "This isn't worth it." She had just started the engine when the garage door began to reopen. If you're finding this story as shocking and heartbreaking as I did while researching it, please hit that like button right now. Your engagement helps this important message reach more people. Share this video with someone who needs to understand the dangers of toxic relationships. The warning signs we're about to discuss could save lives. As Coutura settled into the driver's seat, her sisters could see the mixture of hurt and anger on her face. She kept saying, "I can't believe he just did that." Her younger sister later testified. The white Camaro's engine hummed as Coutura placed both hands on the steering wheel, taking a deep breath to compose herself. Her older sister, seated in the passenger seat, reached over to squeeze her hand in silent support. Through the windshield, they could see the garage door beginning to rise again. The sisters exchanged confused glances. They had assumed the confrontation was over. "Maybe he's coming to apologize," Coutura suggested, though her tone conveyed skepticism. She put the car in reverse, but hadn't yet backed out of the driveway. The security camera footage, later analyzed frame by investigators, shows Marvin's silhouette appearing in the garage doorway. His posture had changed, where moments before he had been animated and gesturing wildly. Now he moved with a deliberate, focused calm that would later be described by criminal psychologists as the stillness before violence. Coutura's younger sister was the first to notice something in Marvin's hand. "What is he holding?" she asked, leaning forward between the front seats for a better view. In the fading evening light, the metallic object caught a glint of sun as Marvin raised his arm. That's when Coutura's older sister screamed, "He has a gun! Go! Go!" The weapon Marvin Simmons chose was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, a compact semi-automatic handgun designed for concealed carry. He had purchased it legally 18 months earlier, telling the gun store clerk it was for home protection. The weapon held 8 rounds in its magazine, with 1 in the chamber, capable of delivering lethal force with minimal effort. Ballistics experts would later testify that the gun had been well maintained and recently cleaned. This wasn't an impulsive grab for a forgotten weapon. Marvin knew exactly where the gun was stored and had retrieved it deliberately during those brief moments when the garage door was closed. The weapon's safety was already disengaged as he emerged from the garage. Coutura had just shifted the car into reverse when the first shot shattered the driver's side window. Glass exploded inward, spraying across her face and chest as the bullet missed her by inches. Her sister's screams filled the car as Coutura instinctively ducked, her foot slipping from the brake pedal. The Camaro rolled backward slightly, then jerked to a stop. Marvin advanced methodically down the driveway, the gun extended in a two-handed grip, just as he'd been taught at the shooting range. The second shot struck the hood of the car, leaving a perfect circular hole in the white metal. Neighbors later reported hearing the distinct crack of gunfire, followed by a woman's scream that abruptly cut off. The third shot found its target. The bullet pierced the already damaged window frame and struck Coutura directly in the chest, tearing through her heart. Her body jerked backward from the impact, then slumped forward against the steering wheel. Blood immediately soaked through her cream-colored blouse, spreading in a dark crimson stain. It happened so fast. Her younger sister told detectives through tears. One second she was talking to us, the next she was just gone. The car horn began to sound as Coutura's body pressed against the steering wheel, creating a continuous wail that alerted neighbors something was terribly wrong. Marvin stood motionless in the driveway, the gun still pointed at the vehicle. The first 911 call came at 6:32 p.m., a neighbor reporting gunshots and screaming. Police arrived within 4 minutes to find Coutura's sisters hysterical outside the vehicle, while Marvin stood in his driveway, the gun now placed on the ground beside him. Officers immediately secured the scene and attempted life-saving measures on Coutura, but the bullet had caused catastrophic damage. Paramedics transported her to University Medical Center while performing CPR, but doctors pronounced her dead at 7:18 p.m. The official cause of death: a single gunshot wound to the chest resulting in massive internal hemorrhaging. Coutura Denise Fiesel, 28 years old, entrepreneur and beloved sister, was gone. Her promising life ended in an act of senseless violence. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department assigned their veteran homicide team to Coutura's case, launching a comprehensive investigation within hours of the shooting. Detectives cordoned off the entire property, meticulously documenting the crime scene with hundreds of photographs and detailed measurements. They recovered the murder weapon, 3 shell casings, and the scattered remains of Coutura's gift box. Investigators conducted separate interviews with both of Coutura's sisters, whose eyewitness accounts proved invaluable. They also spoke with 7 neighbors who had heard the gunshots or witnessed portions of the confrontation. Search warrants were executed for both Coutura's and Marvin's phones, revealing the critical text messages exchanged minutes before the shooting. "This wasn't a complex whodunit," explained the lead detective. "We had the shooter, the weapon, and multiple witnesses. Our job was ensuring the evidence was properly collected and documented to support prosecution." The investigation also focused on establishing Marvin's state of mind and intent, crucial elements for determining the appropriate murder charges. During his initial police interview, Marvin claimed he fired in self-defense, stating he felt threatened by Coutura and a crowd of people in his driveway. "I was protecting my family inside the house," he insisted, portraying Coutura as the aggressor who refused to leave his property. By his second interview 12 hours later, his story shifted dramatically. Marvin admitted Coutura was unarmed, but claimed the shooting was accidental. "I just wanted to scare her off," he told detectives. "I didn't mean to actually hit anyone." When confronted with the evidence that he fired 3 precisely aimed shots, his narrative changed again. In his third version, Marvin portrayed himself as overwhelmed by emotion, claiming temporary insanity due to the stress of his double life being exposed. "I just snapped when I saw her there," he said. "I knew my baby mama would find out everything." This inconsistency in his account severely undermined his credibility with investigators and prosecutors, who noted that his evolving story indicated consciousness of guilt rather than genuine remorse. Forensic evidence systematically dismantled Marvin's various claims. Gunshot residue patterns indicated he fired from a stable position with deliberate aim, not in a panicked state. The bullet trajectory analysis showed the fatal shot was fired directly at chest height, contradicting any claim of warning shots or accidental discharge. The medical examiner's report confirmed the bullet struck Coutura's heart with precision that ballistics experts described as consistent with targeted shooting rather than random fire. Most damning was the security camera footage, showing Marvin's calculated retrieval of the weapon during the brief garage door closure, evidence of premeditation that prosecutors would highlight repeatedly. DNA evidence recovered from the scattered gift box corroborated the sisters' account that Coutura had simply come to deliver a present, not to threaten or harass. Marvin Simmons' trial began in January 2023, nearly 10 months after Coutura's murder. The prosecution presented 32 witnesses over 14 days, including Coutura's sisters, who provided emotional testimony about the events they witnessed. Marvin's defense team attempted to portray him as a man caught between 2 relationships who panicked under pressure. The jury deliberated for just 7 hours before returning with their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. In March 2023, almost exactly 1 year after Coutura's death, the judge sentenced Marvin to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. As the verdict was read, Coutura's sisters embraced, finding some measure of justice in the court's decision. Coutura's death sent shockwaves through Las Vegas, particularly within the fashion community, where she had been a rising star. Her boutique became an impromptu memorial site, with hundreds leaving flowers, candles, and handwritten notes. In April 2022, over 500 people attended a fashion show organized in her honor, with proceeds establishing a scholarship fund for young designers. "She was building something special here," said one local fashion photographer. "Her absence leaves a hole that can't be filled." Her sisters have since taken over management of her boutique, ensuring her creative legacy continues. They've also established the Coutura Fiesel Foundation, which works to combat domestic violence through education and support services. Coutura's tragic story highlights several warning signs that often precede domestic violence. Controlling behaviors, like Marvin's monitoring of Coutura's social media and dictating her clothing choices, typically escalate over time. Isolation from friends and family is another critical indicator. Coutura's gradual withdrawal from her social circle reflected Marvin's growing influence. Jealousy presented as love is particularly dangerous. When someone claims their possessiveness shows how much they care, recognize this as manipulation, not affection. Unpredictable mood swings and inconsistent behavior, like Marvin's alternating between loving messages and threats, create an environment of constant anxiety where victims never know what might trigger aggression. Perhaps most importantly, trust your instincts. Friends reported that Coutura seemed tense around Marvin despite her public portrayal of relationship happiness. That disconnect between public image and private reality often signals trouble. If someone's behavior changes dramatically when their partner enters the room, becoming quieter, more anxious, or constantly checking for approval, they may be in a dangerous relationship. If you recognize these warning signs in your own relationship or someone else's, there are concrete steps to take. First, document concerning behaviors through texts, emails, or a private journal. This creates both a record and helps overcome gaslighting attempts. Develop a safety plan that includes emergency contacts, places to stay, and essential documents. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, provides confidential support and resources 24 hours a day. Never confront an abuser alone. Instead, reach out to trusted friends, family members, or professional organizations specializing in domestic violence. Remember that the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is often when attempting to leave. Having proper support is crucial. If this story impacted you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs this information. Your comment could help others recognize dangerous patterns in their own relationships. Together, we can prevent more tragedies like Coutura's by spreading awareness and supporting those at risk. Remember, recognizing the warning signs saves lives.